Welcome to the Infidelity Doctor channel. My name is Dr. Talal Salim, and this is the Ask Dr. Talal segment. Your place to ask me anything you want to know about affair recovery and affair prevention. Please remember, this segment is not a substitute for the counseling that you're supposed to be getting. This is merely a place for you to get some basic questions answered, as well as a place for you to learn about my insights when it comes to affair recovery and affair prevention. Before we get to the question of the week, make sure that you like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can get the most recent updates. So the question of the week is as follows. My partner would like to expose our kids to the affair. Is this a good idea? Short answer, no, this is a bad idea, and I'll tell you why. In one of my previous videos, I actually talk about how couples should really minimize the number of people who know about the affair upon the discovery. Why do I do this? One, the couples are going to be making very important decisions about the future of their relationship, and it's important for those decisions not to be influenced by external factors. But two, exposing kids to parental infidelity, and when I say kids, I don't only just mean children, I also mean adult kids, can actually have a lot of short-term and long-term damage on the kids' well-beings. And I guess first we have to ask is, what would compel couples to actually consider involving their kids and exposing them to that parental infidelity? A variety of reasons, but the most common one is people involve their kids because they are trying to either seek support, validation, or for them to actually use the kids' involvement as a tool that would help them manipulate the outcome of where the relationship was going after the discovery. But bringing this back to why is it bad to expose kids to the parental infidelity on the short term, this will cause them to be exposed to a lot of emotional distress they don't need to worry about. This can cause them to also be triangulated in the parents' dynamic. What this means is that they can be used as the in-between person to convey messages back and forth because the parents are mad at each other. Or they can be also used as somebody who would side with one parent versus the other. As we have said, there's a manipulation component here that can take place, especially if one partner wants to stay in the relationship and the other person is ready to leave. But also, exposing kids to parental infidelity can actually cause parentification, which is what? When you have a child to play a role that wasn't their role, right? They actually have to play the role of the adult because the parents are so busy with dealing with the discovery of the infidelity. This could take the form of having them doing caretaking behaviors for their own parents or caretaking behavior for their siblings, which is not only something that they're not ready for and something they may not be able to do effectively, but something that will actually have long-term consequences on their development. When it comes to the long-term impact of exposing the kids to parental infidelity, the best way I can describe it, and this is again high level, and this has to do a lot with the age of how and when the kids discover this information and what details you're letting them be privy to. It will impact their view about what healthy sexuality look like, as well as what healthy relationships looks like. And this could go in one of two directions. It can either create a very rigid view of relationship or sexuality, or it can create a very loose and permissive view about sexuality. The rigid view comes from, seeing that nobody can be trustworthy, because if my parents were dealing with infidelity, somebody might do this to me down the road if I decide to be in a relationship. So in that trajectory, people start a relationship from a place of anxiety and distrust, which almost always create complication for them in those relationships in adulthood. In the opposite trajectory, these are the kids who walk away with the message of, cheating is okay, and this becomes part of their whole development and identity, as well as what they value in a relationship. So if my parents were involved in fidelity, it must not be that big of a deal. Fidelity doesn't really have any value. And they might end up being very reckless with choices that they made in their sexual life, as well as the choices that they make for remaining exclusive in future relationships. The take-home message that I always tell for the folks who are thinking about exposing their kids to the parental infidelity is to think about the short-term and long-term ramification that we talked about, but also figure out a healthy way to deal with this, because people should not over-inform their kids about what's going on when it comes to discovery of the infidelity, but also they should not under-inform them. Because it's really hard to expect the couple to discover infidelity and just pretend it didn't happen. It's just very unattainable. So I'm okay with parents letting their kids know we are dealing with an issue, we are trying to figure things out as parents, and emphasizing to the kids that whatever is going on has nothing to do with them, it's not their fault, because it is important for them to not misinterpret what's going on. And that allowed to acknowledge that, yes, there's something that we're working on and we're taking care of therapy, but we don't really need to tell you the nitty-gritty details, because not only that it's not related to something that you're doing or not doing, but also it may not be something that you're developmentally ready to process. So that's one way to be able to address that without actually over-informing or under-informing. Hopefully the answer I provided was satisfactory for the question that was asked this week. Feel free to leave your comments in the comment section below about the answer that you heard, as well as suggestions of questions that you'd like to see me tackle in future videos. Until then, be well, be safe, and embrace the possibility for a brighter future. Take care.